In 1963, a foreman in Youngstown, Ohio, raised 4 sons in a house with 1 bathroom and no money to spare. Every one of them grew into a man other men trusted. He never gave a speech about how. He never sat them down. What he did was the same small things every Sunday, in the same order, for 30 years, while his boys watched without knowing they were being taught. He thought he was only living. When he died in 1981, all 4 sons stood up at the funeral. Each one described the exact same Sunday morning. None of them had ever spoken to the others about it. They built men differently then, not with books or programs or weekend retreats, with repetition. A father did the same things on the same day until the doing wore a groove in his sons. The boy did not study his father, he absorbed him. Sunday was the classroom, the lesson was the man. Then we got busy. We filled the one quiet day with everything else. We told our sons to find their own way and called it freedom. We stopped repeating ourselves. A boy cannot copy a father he never sees do the same thing twice. Number 23 took less than 10 seconds. A son carried it for 50 years and taught it to his own boys. Number 10 contradicts nearly every rule modern men live by about drive and success. The fathers who practiced it raised the steadiest men of their generation. And number 2 built more lasting marriages among working-class American men than any other single thing a father ever did. It was never once spoken aloud. It was only ever shown. These 30 habits were not about being strict. They were about being steady. They were the difference between a boy who grew up guessing what a man was and a boy who had watched one every Sunday of his life. Hit that subscribe button. Let us count down the 30 quiet pre-1970 father habits practiced every Sunday that built real men in 5 minutes. Number 30. The Saturday night shoes. The day of rest began the night before. After supper, you lined up every pair of shoes in the house, yours, your wife's, every child's. You polished them at the kitchen table and set them by the door. A millwright in Gary, Indiana did this through the 1950s. His 3 boys woke to a row of shoes that shone. They never caught him at it. They only ever saw it done. The shine was not about leather. It was about belonging to someone who cared. Number 29, leading the family in. At the church door, you took off your hat. You held it in your left hand. You let your wife and children pass ahead of you into the pew. You sat down last, on the aisle, between your family and the world. A bricklayer in Scranton, Pennsylvania did this in 1949. His sons learned where a man sits without a word said. The last seat was not the lowest. It was the post of the man on watch. Number 28. Giving where the boys could see. When the plate came down the row, you did not hide the bill. You folded it once and laid it in plain sight. Your sons saw the giving and the size of it. A streetcar conductor in St. Louis did this in 1954. In a year money was thin. He gave anyway, and let them watch. To give in the open was to show a boy that a man pays his share. The dollar was small. The lesson was not. Number 27. The pause before grace. Before the meal, you did not reach for the food. You set your hands flat on the table. You waited until every head was still. Only then did you speak. A wheat farmer in Hays, Kansas did this every Sunday of the 1940s. His boys learned the day stopped before the eating. It was not a delay. It was a hunger taught to wait on gratitude. The pause was the prayer before the prayer. Number 26, the smallest portion. You served the plates. You gave the best cut and the fullest spoon to everyone else. You kept the end piece for yourself. A coal truck driver in Logan, West Virginia, did this in 1951. His sons ate well every Sunday and never knew he had gone short. The man who feeds the table last has fed it first in every way that counts. He ate least. His boys grew into men who did the same. Number 25. Singing off-key without shame. You could not hold a tune. You sang anyway, full voice, every hymn. You did not mumble. You did not hide. A dairy hand in Oneonta, New York, did this every Sunday of the 1960s. His sons heard their father be wrong out loud and unafraid. A man who only does what he is good at teaches his sons to be cowards quietly. Sing the right things badly rather than not at all. Number 24. The correction no one saw. When a boy did wrong in public, you said nothing there. You waited. You took him aside, alone, later. The lesson came with no audience. A railroad clerk in Roanoke, Virginia, did this through the 1950s. To correct a child before strangers is to trade his dignity for your pride. The fathers refused that trade. The quiet word, delivered alone, lands deeper than any public scolding ever could. Number 23. Standing when she entered. When a woman came into the room, you rose, your wife, a neighbor, the old aunt with the cane. You stood every time until she was seated. A pharmacist in Asheville, North Carolina, did this in 1957. His sons stood with him before they understood why. It was not ceremony, it was respect a boy could see. The standing took 10 seconds, and a son carried it the rest of his life. Number 22. The visit to the shut-ins. After church, you did not go straight home. You drove to the ones who could not come, the sick, the widowed, the old man with no family left. A mail carrier in Dubuque, Iowa, did this every Sunday of the 1950s. He brought a son to carry the basket. It was not charity. It was a strong man spending his strength on the weak. The visit cost him his rest. He made it anyway. Number 21. Calling on his own father. You honored your father in front of your sons. Every Sunday you sat with the old man and listened to stories you had heard 100 times. A machinist in Flint, Michigan, did this through the 1960s. His boys watched a grown man defer to his own dad. A son learns how he will be treated when he is old by watching how his father treats the old. He honored the old man. His sons remembered who taught them how. Here is what nobody says out loud. Today, roughly 1 in 4 American children grows up in a home with no father in it. This is not only about money or absence. It is about the lost Sunday. A boy cannot copy a man he never watches. He cannot absorb a rhythm that was never repeated. We came to believe a father was a provider, a wallet, a weekend visitor. The old fathers knew better. A father was a thing a boy watched do the same right thing over and over until it became the shape of him. The repetition was the whole gift. It asked for no thanks. It sent no reminder. It just happened every 7th day until a boy could not tell where his father ended and he began. We did not lose fathers to cruelty. We lost them to busyness, to distance, and to the quiet lie that being present now and then is the same as being there. Number 20. The Sunday suit. You owned one good suit. You brushed it Saturday night. You pressed the trousers under the mattress. You wore it with a straight back, the same suit, for years. A foundry worker in Birmingham, Alabama, did this through the 1950s. His sons saw that dignity did not cost money. It cost care. The suit was old. The bearing inside it was not. Number 19. The paper set down. You read your Sunday paper in your chair. When a child spoke, the paper came down, all the way down, not lowered to peer over, folded and set aside. A bank teller in Topeka, Kansas, did this in 1958. His sons learned they outranked the news. The world could wait. They could not. The folding of the paper said, "You matter more than this." Number 18. The drive with no place to go. On Sunday afternoons, you drove. No errand, no destination, just the family in the car and the country going by. A tire plant worker in Akron, Ohio, did this every Sunday of the 1960s. He talked to his sons sideways, eyes on the road, the way men talk easiest. The boys said more in that car than at any table. The drive went nowhere. That was the whole point of it. Number 17. The standing repair. Every Sunday you fixed one thing, a hinge, a fence, a lamp. You called a son over to hold the light. A plumber in Providence, Rhode Island, did this through the 1950s. The boy learned the work by standing close and handing tools. Nothing was explained. Everything was shown. The lesson was never the hinge. It was that a man mends what is broken instead of stepping over it. Number 16. The walk to the road. When a guest left, you did not wave from your chair. You stood. You walked the man to the door, then to the road. You waited there until the car was gone. A grocer in Macon, Georgia, did this in 1955. His sons saw a goodbye given its full weight. A leaving rushed is a welcome withdrawn. The walk to the road said your coming mattered, and so does your going. Number 15. Keeping the day. You worked 6 hard days. On the 7th, you did not speak of work. No complaint. No worry carried to the table. A stevedore in Baltimore, Maryland, did this through the 1940s. His sons saw a man set his burdens down on purpose. A man who drags his work into every hour teaches his children that life is only labor. The week could not have all of him. Sunday was the part he kept. Number 14. The handshake that stopped. When you shook a man's hand, you stopped walking. You looked at his face. You gave the whole hand and a still moment. A hardware dealer in Fort Wayne, Indiana, did this in 1952. His sons learned a handshake on the move is no handshake at all. The hand met the hand, and the world held still. The boys gave that handshake all their lives and never knew it had a name. Number 13. The bills in the open. On Sunday evening, you sat with the week's bills at the table. You did not hide the worry. You did not hide the math. A textile worker in Greenville, South Carolina, did this in 1953. His sons saw what it cost to keep a roof up. The bills were not shameful. The honest reckoning of them was the lesson. He sat with the numbers so his sons would not fear them. In the 1960s, a psychologist named Albert Bandura ran a now famous set of experiments. He found something that should not have surprised anyone, and somehow did. Children do not mainly learn from what they are told. They learn from what they watch a trusted adult do, especially when the doing is repeated. Instruction fades by morning. Demonstration sinks into the bone. The strongest predictor of how a boy treats people as a grown man is not a lecture he received. It is the conduct he observed at close range again and again in the ordinary hours. The old fathers never read a study. They had run the experiment 10,000 times every Sunday on the only subjects that mattered. They already knew the result. A boy becomes what he watches, so they were careful, on the day he watched most, to be worth copying. Number 12. The hat to every stranger. On the walk home, you tipped your hat to the neighbor, to the stranger, to the woman sweeping her step. You acknowledged every soul you passed. A postman in Burlington, Vermont, did this every Sunday of the 1950s. His sons learned no person on the street was beneath a greeting. A man who greets only the important is no gentleman at all. His sons grew up unable to pass a person without a nod. Number 11. Greeting every man at the church door. After the service, you did not rush to the car. You shook every hand on the way out. The deacon and the poor man's son alike. A sawmill foreman in Eugene, Oregon did this in 1956. His boys watched him skip no one. The room remembers who you skip. To greet the lowest man first tells a church exactly what kind of man you are. Number 10. Doing nothing on purpose. On Sunday, you sat on the porch and did nothing. You were not lazy. You were at rest, deliberately, in front of your sons. A printer in Springfield, Illinois, did this through the 1960s. His boys saw that a man is allowed to stop. A man who can never sit still teaches his children that rest must be earned and never quite is. The stillness was not idleness. It was a man who knew when he had done enough. Number 9. The first cut given away. You carved the Sunday roast. The first and best slice never went to you. It went to a child, an elder, a guest. A butcher in Omaha, Nebraska did this in 1954. His sons watched the best of the table leave his hands every week. To give the first cut away is to show a son how a man spends the little power he holds. He fed himself last and built sons who served first. Number 8. The promise kept by next week. When you told a son you would do a thing, it got done. Not someday. By the next Sunday at the latest. A signalman in Altoona, Pennsylvania did this through the 1950s. His boys learned a man's word had a deadline, and he met it. A promise broken to a child is a small thing that does enormous damage. He made few promises and kept every one. Number 7. The temper held. You had a temper. The children rarely saw it. You held it in front of them on purpose and let it go alone. A line worker in Detroit, Michigan did this in 1951. His sons grew up thinking their father was calm. He was not calm. He was disciplined. The held temper was not weakness. It was the hardest strength a man owns. Number 6. The letter to the far-off kin. Every Sunday you wrote a letter to a brother out west, to your mother across the state. You sat with pen and paper and kept the family stitched together. A surveyor in Cheyenne, Wyoming did this through the 1960s. His sons saw that blood at a distance still asked for tending. A family does not hold itself together. Someone does the quiet work of it. The letter took an hour and held a family across 1,000 miles. Picture a Sunday in 1955. One day, fenced off from the week. The shoes shined the night before. The family moved through it together, in the same order, at the same hours. Church, the table, the drive, the porch, the letter, the early night. A boy could set his life by it. Now picture a Sunday today. The day no longer exists as a thing apart. Work bleeds into it through a screen in every pocket. The family scatters to its separate rooms and separate hours. No shared meal at a fixed time. No common rhythm a child could learn by heart. We simply let it dissolve, one convenience at a time, until the one day a father could be reliably watched became indistinguishable from the other 6. The fathers gave their sons a fixed point. We gave ours a feed. Number 5. The hand on the shoulder. When words would not do, you laid a hand on your son's shoulder. Once, brief, then gone. A welder in Tulsa, Oklahoma, did this in 1955. After a loss, before a hard day, the hand said what the man could not. His sons felt steadied by a touch that lasted 2 seconds. Some moments speech cannot reach. Only the human hand can go there. The hand said, "I am here," deeper than any word. Number 4, "We'll see," instead of an easy yes. You did not buy peace with a fast yes. When a son asked for something, you weighed it. "We'll see," you said, and you meant it. A foreman in Camden, New Jersey did this through the 1950s. His boys learned an answer was considered, not bought. A yes given to end the asking is a small lie a child can feel. When the yes came, it was real, and the no held. The boys trusted both because both were earned. Number 3, the apology to a child. When you were wrong, you said so. To your own son, plainly, without excuse. "I was wrong. I am sorry." A carpenter in Paducah, Kentucky did this in 1959. His boys watched a grown man bend without breaking. A father who can never be wrong raises sons who can never admit it. The apology cost him nothing he could not spare. It gave his sons the freedom to be wrong and still be a man. Number 2, the way he treated their mother. The deepest lesson was never spoken. It was watched every Sunday in how you treated your wife. The chair pulled out, the first plate handed to her, the kind word in front of the children. A toolmaker in Kenosha, Wisconsin, did this through the 1950s. His sons learned what a marriage looked like before they had the word for it. A boy learns to love a wife by watching his father love his mother. The tenderness was quiet and constant. It built the marriages his sons would keep for 50 years. Number 1, be the same man every Sunday. That is all of it. No method, no grand gesture, no speech a boy would forget by Monday. Just the same man, in the same chair, doing the same right things, on the same day, for 30 years. A father a son could set his compass by. A union electrician in Cleveland, Ohio, did this from 1948 until the year he died. His 4 sons never once wondered who their father was. He showed them every Sunday. Every habit on this list was only ever this one rule, wearing different clothes. The shoes, the grace, the hand on the shoulder. All of it was a man being the same man, on purpose, where his sons could see. A boy does not need a perfect father. He needs a predictable one. He needs to know on the 7th day exactly where the man will be standing and exactly what the man will do. That fixed point is what a son builds himself against. Be there, be the same. Every Sunday, the boy is watching, and he will become the thing he watches. None of these habits required a program or a coach or a single dollar. They required a father willing to be watched, to do the same decent things on the same quiet day until they wore a groove in his sons. The generation that came up through the Depression and the war understood a thing modern fathers have been talked out of: that a boy is not raised by what you say to him on the rare good day. He is raised by what you do in front of him on the ordinary one. That presence is not a visit, it is a rhythm. These were not the habits of strict men or hard men, they were the habits of steady men. The moment we let the day dissolve, we lost the place where fathers were watched. We have been raising sons who are guessing ever since. The chair on the porch is still there. The shoes are no longer lined up by the door. The only thing missing is the man who used to do the same right things every Sunday, while his sons learned what a man was by watching one be it.